Hey there, welcome back everybody. We're going to be doing another commander deck today. This one's going to be different from the other ones. The other ones I kind of built prior and kind of showed you and worked it out at the tail end of it. This time I'm going to be bringing you a deck that I've already made, that I've played with before, and I do like it. This one I call my dumpster fire deck. It is a dumpster, but the reason why it's the dumpster fire is because it is a burn deck. And the commander is Gearson Starn Kellermorph from the 40k set. It is a legendary creature, Tyranid human, Ward 2, and whenever another source you control deals exactly 1 damage to a permanent or player, Gearson Starn deals 2 damage to that permanent or player. So you'll be dealing a total of 3 damage. And that was a fun one to build and mess around with, but we're going to go through what I got here is just some tokens that are needed for it. We'll set you aside over in there. And let's go ahead and go through it. So we'll worry about not worry about the lands. We'll just set those aside. So Counterflux, 2 blue and a red. Counterflux can't be countered by spells or abilities. Counter target spell you don't control, or you can pay that same +1 to counter each effect. The next one we have is Shiny Impetus, 2 and a red. It's an enchantment aura. You enchant a creature, it gets +2/+2 and is goaded, meaning it has to attack each combat if able and a player other than you. And then whenever it attacks, you create a treasure. We got a mountain. Flameblade Angel. It is 4 mana and 2 red. It's a flying 4/4, and whenever a source an opponent controls deals damage to you or a permanent you control, you may have Flameblade deal 1 damage to that source controller. Attacked with him, you deal another 3. So every time you get hit, they get hit back. It's great. Endbringer, 5 mana plus a colorless. Untap Endbringer during each other player's untap step, and then you can tap it to do one of 3 things. Tap for free to deal 1 damage to target creature or player. Pay a colorless to tap it and target creature can't attack or block this turn, or pay 2 colorless to tap it and draw a card. It's a 5/5. Mountain. The Palantir of Ornthak, 3 mana. At the beginning of your end step, put an influence counter on Palantir of Ornthak and scry 2. Then target opponent may have you draw a card. If that player doesn't have you draw a card, you mill X cards, where X is the number of influence counters on Palantir of Ornthak. And that player loses life equal to the total mana value of those cards. So for example, if this card was going to be milled, it'd get milled, it's a 3 mana cost, so then it'd deal 3 damage to that player. We got an island, a mountain. Sword of Once and Future, 3 mana. Equipped creature gets +2/+2 and has protection from blue and black. Then whenever it deals damage to a player you surveil to, then you can cast an instant sorcery card with mana value 2 or less from your graveyard without paying its mana cost, and then exile it. Equip cost 2. Reliquary Tower. Melik Izzet Paragon. 4 mana, a blue and a red. Legendary weird wizard. You may play with the top card of, play with the top card of your library revealed. You may cast the top card of your library if it's an instant or sorcery. And whenever you cast an instant or sorcery from your library, you copy it and choose new targets. Got an island. Exalted Flamer of Sietch. 2, I don't know if I said that right. 2, a blue and a red. At the beginning of your upkeep, return an instant or sorcery card at random from your graveyard to your hand. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery card, it deals 1 damage to each opponent. Soul Ring, we know what that does. Mountain. Snap, 1 and a blue. Instant, return target creature to its owner's hand, untap up to 2 lands. Pariah's Shield, 5 mana. It's an artifact equipment. All damage that would be dealt to you is dealt to equipped creature instead. 3 equip cost. That will come into play later. Loyal Apprentice, 1 and a red. Haste, and at the beginning of combat on your turn, if you control your commander, create a 1/1 colorless Thopter artifact creature token with flying. It gains haste until end of turn. So it's a 1/1, does 1 damage, procs with that. Curiosity, 1 blue, enchant creature. Whenever enchanted creature deals damage to an opponent, you may draw a card. Works with Gearson. Frost Wielder, 2 and 2 red. Tap it to have it deal 1 damage to target creature or player. If a creature dealt damage by Frost Wielder this turn would be put into graveyard, remove it from the game instead. So that's a way to exile some stuff if you can kill a creature with something. We had a mountain under there as well. Storm the Vault, 2, a blue, and a red. Whenever 1 or more creatures you control deals combat damage to a player, create a treasure artifact token. At the beginning of your end step, if you control 5 or more artifacts, transform Storm the Vault into a legendary land that adds 1 mana of any color, or tap to add a blue for each artifact you control. That one's better in an artifacts deck, but it still helps out in certain circumstances. Chandra, Hope's Beacon, 4 and 2 red. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, copy it. Choose new copies, only do this once each turn. You +2 to add 2 mana in any combination of colors. +1 to exile the top 5 cards of your library. Until the end of your next turn, you may cast instant and sorcery cards from among those exiled cards. Or -X to deal X damage to up to each of 2 targets. Another mountain. Is it Boiler Works? Volcanic Island. Urabrask, the Hidden. 3 and 2 red. It is a legendary Praetor. Creatures you control have haste, and creatures your opponents control enter the battlefield tapped. It's a 4/4. It's a good way to slow down your opponents to kind of protect your board a bit. Rowan, Fearless Spark Mage, one of my favorite planeswalkers. 3 and 2 red. You +1 her to up to 1 target creature gets +3/+0 and gains first strike until end of turn. You can -2 her to deal 1 damage to each of up to 2 target creatures, and those creatures can't block. Or -9 to gain control of all creatures until end of turn, untap them, then gain haste until end of turn. Mountain, Island, 2 mana for Arcane Signet, tap 1 mana of any color in your commander's identity. Spiteful Prankster, 2 and a red. As long as it's your turn, Spiteful Prankster has first strike. And then whenever another creature dies, Spiteful Prankster deals 1 damage to target player or planeswalker. Grapeshot, 1 and a red. Grapeshot deals 1 damage to any target. Storm, when you cast this, copy it for each spell you've cast before it. So that's a pretty good one in combo with that. Sprite Dragon, a blue and a red, flying haste. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, put a +1/+1 counter on it. It's a 1/1. Gelectrode, or Gelectrode, 1, a blue and a red. You can tap it to deal 1 damage to target creature or player, and whenever you play an instant or sorcery spell, you may untap it. It's a 0/1. So I tap it, boom, I play a spell, I untap it, get to tap it, do it again, play another spell, untap it, get to do it again. So it worked well in pumping out a lot of damage real quick. Najal, the Stormrunner, 2 mana, 2 blue, and a red. You may cast sorcery spells as though they had flash. Whenever Najal attacks, you may pay 2. If you do, when you cast your next instant or sorcery spell this turn, copy it, choose new targets. It is a 5/4. Cyclonic Rift, 1 and a blue to return target non-land permanent you don't control to its owner's hands, or you can pay 6 and a blue to make each non-land permanent you don't control return to its owner's hand. Good board wipe. Jeska, Warrior Adept, 2 and 2 red, first strike and haste. You can tap her to deal 1 damage to target creature or player. She's a 3/1. Reinterpret, 2, a blue, and a red. Counter target spell. You may cast a spell with an equal or lesser mana value from your hand without paying its mana cost. Scalding Viper with an adventure on it. 1 in a blue, 1 in a red, or 1 in a blue for the adventure. For the adventure, you return target non-land permanent to its owner's hand. And for the creature, whenever an opponent casts a spell with mana value 3 or less, it deals 1 damage to that player. And then you have Spectral Adversary. 1 and a blue. Flash and flying. When it enters, you may pay an additional 1 and a blue any number of times. When you pay this cost 1 or more times, put that many +1/+1 counters on Spectral Adversary. Then, up to that many other target artifacts, creatures, and/or enchantments phase out. So if someone's going to board wipe you, you can save, 1, 2, 3 things, pop those out, phase them out, save them. End the Festivities. 1 red. It's a sorcery. It deals 1 damage to each opponent and each creature and planeswalker they control. With that, that's a great small board wipe of 3 damage. Cancel. 1 and 2 blue to counter target spell. Gilded Lotus. 5 mana to add 3 mana of any one color. Good stuff here. Flame Fusillade. 3 and a red. It's a sorcery. Until end of turn, permanents you control gain. This permanent deals 1 damage to target creature or player. When you get a big board out, lots of lands, lots of creatures and stuff, you play this with your commander. Tap it, everything will deal 3 damage to everything. It's awesome. Island Deflecting Swat. 2 mana and a red. It's an instant. If you control a commander, you can cast a spell without paying its mana cost. Otherwise, it's that. And you may choose new targets for target spell or ability. Some good protection stuff. Then you got your classic Izzet. You have Niv Mizzet Parun. 3 blue and 3 red. It's a legendary dragon. This spell cannot be countered. It's flying 5/5. And whenever you draw a card, it deals 1 damage to any target. Whenever a player casts an instant or sorcery spell, you draw a card. So those play off of each other real well. 1 blue for Sigil of Sleep. Enchant creature. And when the enchanted creature deals damage to a player, return target creature that player controls to its owner's hand. More good combo stuff. Lear, Disciple of the Drowned. 3 and 2 blue. Spells can't be countered. Now this could be a good and a bad thing for you because, yes, it makes it so your spells can't be countered, but also makes it so others can't be countered. But each instant or sorcery card in your graveyard has flashback, and the flashback cost is equal to that card's mana cost. So it allows you to keep casting stuff from your graveyard. Pink Horror. 3, a blue, and a red. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, Pink Horror deals 2 damage to any target. Doesn't stack with that one, unfortunately, but when it dies, you get 2 blue and red Demon Horror creature tokens. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, this creature deals 1 damage to any target. We have our other Niv Mizzet, Visionary, 4 a blue and a red for flying. You have no maximum hand size, and whenever a source you control deals non-combat damage to an opponent, you draw that many cards. Combine that, and with the other Niv Mizzet, it's a pretty painful thing. You can start throwing at people. Rampaging Ferocidon, 2 and a red. Menace, and players can't gain life. Whenever another creature enters the battlefield, Rampaging Ferocidon deals 1 damage to that creature's controller. Mountain, Temple of the False Gods. Staff of Nin, 6 mana. At the beginning of your upkeep, draw a card, always great, and you can tap it to deal 1 damage to a creature or player. Island. Immolation Shaman, 1 and a red. Whenever an opponent activates an ability of an artifact, creature, or land that isn't a mana ability, Immolation deals 1 damage to that player. You can pay 3 and 2 red to give it +3/+3, and Menace until end of turn. It's currently a 1/3, so that'd make it a 4/6. It's not a bad thing when you need it. Magnus the Red, 3, a blue, and a red for flying. Instant and sorcery spells you cast cost 1 less to cast for each creature token you control. A couple of these other things here make some tokens as well. Whenever Magnus deals combat damage to a player, create a 3/3 red spawn creature token. It is a 4/5. Stuffy Doll, 5 mana. If Stuffy Doll enters, choose a player. Stuffy Doll is indestructible. Whenever Stuffy Doll is dealt damage, it deals that much damage to the chosen player. It deals 1 damage to itself on a tap. It's a 0/1. So this is a good combo with the dealing damage to itself, but also you tag on the Pariah Shield with this, and that's a fun combo. Swiftfoot Boots, 2 mana. Equipped creature has hexproof and haste. Equip cost 1. 2 blues for a counter spell. 1 red for a lightning bolt, which deals 3 damage to any target. We got an island. Act of Treason, 2 and a red. It's a sorcery. Gain control of target creature until end of turn. Untap that creature. It gains haste until end of turn. Okay, somebody's got a big creature. You want to swing out at them with it. Is it Static Caster? 1, a blue, and a red. It's a human wizard with flash, haste, and whenever you tap it, it deals 1 damage to a target creature and each other creature with the same name as that creature. It's a 0/3. So this works great for token decks. I have this one in here specifically for that. So you can deal 1 damage to the tokens. It'll deal damage to all of the tokens. With that, it'll deal 3 damage to all the tokens. A good way to stop or slow down somebody who's going crazy with that. Preordain, a blue, scry 2, then draw a card. Chaos Wand, 3 mana, and then you pay 4 and tap it to target opponent exiles cards from the top of their library until they exile an instant or sorcery. You may cast that card without paying its mana cost. Then put the exiled cards that were not cast this way on the bottom of the library in a random order. That's a good one. I wish the cost was just a little bit cheaper. Maybe 3 is the same price. It makes it a little bit more useful. Goblin Electromancer, a blue and a red. Instant and sorcery spells you cast cost 1 less to cast. It is a 2/2. And then Mystical Tutor, 1 blue. Search your library for an instant or sorcery card. Reveal it. Shuffle your library, then put the card on top of it. All right, an island, and then we've got Kefnit's Monument for 3 mana. Blue creature spells you cast cost 1 less to cast. Whenever you cast a creature spell, target creature an opponent controls doesn't untap during its next controller's untap step. Jessica's Will, 2 and a red. It's a sorcery. Choose 1. If you control a commander as you cast it, choose both. Add 1 red for each card in target opponent's hand, and then exile the top 3 cards of your library. You may play them this turn. Wizard's Spellbook, 5 and 2 blue. It's an artifact. You can tap it to exile target instant or sorcery card from a graveyard, not just yours, but any. Then you roll a d20, activate only as a sorcery. 1 through 9, you copy that card, and you may cast that copy, meaning you still have to pay for it. 10 to 19, you copy it, but you can cast it by paying 1 instead of the mana cost. Or natural 20, copy each card exiled with a spellbook, and you may cast any number of the copies without paying their mana cost. So you'll exile stuff, put it under here, tap it, do that, and then if you get the 20, you can do any or all of them. Mountain. Mana Geyser, normally, but this is the 40k version of Rune Storm Ritual, 3 and 2 red. Add a red mana for each tapped land your opponents control. Myriad Landscape enters battlefield tapped. It taps for a colorless, or you can pay 2 to sack it. Search your library for 2 basic land cards with a shared type, so 2 forests, 2 islands. Put them on the battlefield tapped, then shuffle. Island, Mishra's Command. X mana cost and a red, so you can put any number that you want into that. And then you choose 2 of the 4 options. Choose target player. They may discard up to X cards, then they may draw each card for each card discarded that way. This spell The spell deals X damage to target creature, deals X damage to target planeswalker, or target creature gets X plus O and haste until end of turn. Restless Spire enters tapped. You can tap it for a blue or a red mana, and you can pay a blue and a red mana. Until end of turn, it becomes a 2/1 blue elemental creature with, as long as it's your turn, it has first strike. It's still a land, and whenever it attacks, you scry 1. Mana Barbs, this is a fun one. This could be something that will kill you as well, but it's 3 and a red, and whenever a player taps a land for mana, Mana Barbs deals 1 damage to that player. So tied in with Gearson, and that will deal a crap ton of damage. Thematic Compass, 2 mana. You can pay 3 to search your library for a basic land card, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle. At the beginning of your end step, if you control 7 or more lands, you transform it into a Spires of Orazca. I was going to say Orzhaka for some reason. Orazka, you tap it for a colorless, and you can also untap target attacking creature and opponent controls and remove it from combat. So it basically becomes a Maze of Ith. Command Tower, Island, Slitherblade, 1 blue. Slitherblade cannot be blocked. It is a 1/2. Becomes a 3 with that there. Ovika, Enigma Goliath, 5, a blue and a red. It's flying. It has ward 3, and you have to pay 3 life just to target it. So whenever you cast a non-creature spell, create X 1/1 red Phyrexian goblin creature tokens, where X is the mana value of that spell, and they gain haste until end of turn. It is a 6/6. Granite Shard, 3 mana. You can pay 3 mana or a red mana to have it deal 1 damage to target creature or player. Geist of the Archives, 2 and a blue. It's a defender. At the beginning of your upkeep, scry 1. It's a 0/4. Smash to Dust, 2 and a red. It's a sorcery. Choose one of these. Destroy target artifact, destroy target creature with defender, or Smash to Dust deals 1 damage to each creature your opponents control. Another board wipe in the combo. Kraken's Eye, 2 mana. Whenever a player plays a blue spell, you gain 1 life. Dragon's Claw, 2 mana. Whenever a player plays a red spell, you may gain 1 life. Well of Lost Dreams, 4 mana. Whenever you gain life, you may pay X, where X is less than or equal to the amount of life you gained. If you do, draw X cards. These in combo work well with each other. Rowan, Scholar of Sparks, 2 and a red. Instant and sorcery spells you cast cost 1 less. +1, she deals 1 damage to each opponent. If you've drawn 3 or more cards this turn, deals 3 damage to each opponent instead. So we don't necessarily need to worry about that second part because we already got it with combo of that. Or you can -4. You get an emblem with whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, you may pay 2 mana. If you do, copy that spell, choose new targets. And Fable of the Mirrorbreaker, 2 and a red. You create a 2/2 Goblin Shaman with whenever this creature attacks, you create a treasure token. You may discard up to 2 cards. If you do, draw that many cards, and then on the 3rd turn, exile this card, return it to the battlefield transformed under your control. And it is Reflection of Iki Jiki. You can pay 1 to tap it and create a token that's a copy of another target non-legendary creature you control, except it has haste. Sacrifice it at the beginning of the next end step. It is a 2/2. So this was a fun little burn deck that I made after I saw an episode of the Tolarian Community College where Professor did something similar with the Commander, but I made my own version of it. And it felt pretty good out there. It's not too powerful. It's not too broken. You might get 1 or 2 turns of something really cool, like the End of Festivities, where you deal 3 damage to everything. I've only done that once or twice, and it was a decent board wipe. I haven't gotten Ovika out yet, but when I do, that's going to be a fun one. And I've played this one a lot. It's been a lot of fun, and it's simple enough, but it's competitive enough, and you can be a target at some point. Because once you start pinging people enough, if you ping people here and there, it's not bad, especially if you spread the love, go, each opponent, oh, I hit you for 3, oh, I hit you for 3, oh, I hit you for 3. Then they're not as, engaged with hitting you, but once you start doing it a lot, then they're kind of like, oh, hey, we need to do something about it. So something that this deck could use for a little bit more protection would probably be something like Propaganda. It'll make it harder for them to swing creatures at you. I might get one of those eventually. I thought I had one, but I probably put it in a different deck. But it's fun to get out there. It's fun to deal with. And it certainly is fitting in the middle power range. It's certainly around a 5 or a 6. And is certainly super casual. So when you just want to have fun and cause some pew-pews, this is a good one set up for. I hope you liked it, the idea. Feel free to tweak it a little bit for what you may have. And again, buy singles, buy proxies, whatever you have to do, because a couple of these might be super expensive, and I don't see the value in paying, more than $20 for a card, especially one that's like $500 for a piece of plastic. That's kind of silly, or a piece of cardboard. So hope you guys liked it. Go out there, test it out, have fun with it. Tell me what you think. And this is going to be a little bit shorter than my other ones because we're not working through the process. But hope you had a good time. Gave you some fun ideas for a deck you might be able to do yourself. And we'll catch you later. Have a good day.